What's up, guys? Brother Brian checking in. As always, your brother from another mother. And today I want to talk about one of the 7 fundamental laws of the universe. And you might think, what the heck is Brother Brian smoking now? We're talking about one of the laws of the universe, and how is this going to benefit me, right? Why does Brother Brian have to get all esoteric and whatever it is, right? But guys, I learned a lesson from this law recently. And there's a valuable lesson here, how we can use this law to our advantage. And when we learn to use the laws, and when we learn to become in harmony with these laws, that's when magical things start to happen in life, friends. So pardon me, I've actually got a paper here because there's a few things I wanted to capture and make sure I don't forget anything about this law. But once again, today we're going to go over the law of rhythm, also known as the law of periodicity, or whatever you want. I don't know. However you want to say it. I'll provide a link below. The law of rhythm, right? It takes us up, it takes us down. Everything is moving to and fro, flowing in and out, swinging back and forth, right? Everything is flowing both in and out, right? Think about the oceans, the ebb and flow of the oceans, right? There is always a reaction to every action, right? There's that equal and opposite reaction to every action. Once again, there's that law of rhythm. Something must advance when something retreats. Something must rise when something falls. This law governs the movement of all the planets in their orbits. And humans can observe this law in their mental, physical, and emotional states, right? Now think about that. Being a human being, right? And our mental states, our physical, and our emotional states always go up and down. One day we're happy, one day we're sad. One day when we're in a bad mood, we say, hey, I must have woke up on the wrong side of the bed, right? But that's just it's a universal law, right? The rising and the setting of the sun and the moon. The ebb and flow of the tides, as I mentioned earlier. The coming and going of the seasons, right? Everything is rhythmic. Summer, fall, winter, spring, and it just goes on in cycles. Think about that sine wave. It's got its peaks and it's got its troughs. Everything is rhythmic, my friends, and this is the law of rhythm. And I'll give you guys a few more examples, and I'll explain to you how this can be extremely beneficial to you if you know how to use the law to your advantage. Because typically we use the law to our disadvantage, and I'll explain that more. The rhythmic swing of consciousness and unconsciousness, right? You're not going to feel good all of the time. No one does. If you did, you wouldn't even know it, right? Because you can't know how it is to feel good, my friend, without having felt bad first, right? Once again, the good, the bad. There will always be highs and lows in life. It is just a part of life because this law governs our life. But here's an important thing I want you to keep in mind, friends. Reason gives us the ability to choose our thoughts. And that's what we refer to as free will, right? We always have that choice, my friends. No matter how seemingly awful a circumstance is, we always have that choice of free will. And I wanted to mention something very profound I recently came across, in the audios I'm listening to. They mentioned a man named Viktor Frankl. Now I believe he was a psychologist during World War II, a Jewish psychologist, and he was put into the concentration camps, right? And he was put through a tremendous amount of both physical and mental torture. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, right? He went through some very wild and painful experiences, right? But what he became aware of while he was on that table, laying there naked, right, and they're doing these, awful experiments on him, he realized he always had a choice to how he would feel inside. He always had a choice to how he would respond to these circumstances, right? And he actually wrote a book on it. I think the book is called Man's search for meaning. And I'll dig it up, friends, and I'll provide a link below. I have not read that yet, but it's definitely on my list. But I thought that was very profound, because most of us would look at that kind of situation and say, oh my goodness, that's probably one of the worst things you can ever even imagine happening in your life. But Mr. Frankl came to the conclusion by awareness that we always have a choice, no matter how seemingly awful a circumstance is, and also no matter how seemingly great a circumstance is, right? Hence the law of rhythm, good and bad. You can choose good thoughts even when you're on a natural downswing. And this is where it gets interesting, my friend, because we always go through these natural upswings and these natural downswings. Now, if we want to use the law of rhythm to our advantage, we must become aware that we always have a choice, and we must become aware that we are in a natural downswing, and we must go with the flow, so to speak, right? We must realize, hey, I'm in a downswing. It's just part of life. But I'm going to choose good thoughts so that when I get out of this downswing, which I know I will, because it's a law, it's a natural law, I'm going to be feeling even better, and I'm going to be able to get out of that slump even faster and accomplish even more. Does that kind of make sense, my friends? Let me cover a couple more things here. It's because of the low points that we're able to enjoy the high points in life, right? How would we know what something good is without having experienced something bad? It's just not possible, right? We have dominion over our marvelous minds. We have been given the godlike ability to choose our thoughts. And I wanted to leave you, and I wanted to, once I stop reading, this is the last thing I'm going to read, and then we can talk about how to use the law to our advantage. This is a quote by Richard Nixon, right, the president, and this is as he was leaving office. He said, "Only if you have been in the deepest valley can you ever know how magnificent it is to be on the highest mountain." And he was absolutely right, my friends, because he's talking about the law of rhythm again, right? So, how can we use this to our advantage? Well, I already touched on this, and I'm going to give you guys a real-life example of myself, right? Because obviously I'm human, and this law governs my life just as it governs you, my friends. I was recently in a slump. I was just feeling, uninspired, unmotivated, perhaps a little bit overwhelmed, because friends, I'm in the home business industry, right? And I still have a full-time job, and I'm working hard to fire my boss, which is only a matter of time now because my business has started picking up. I've got that residual income coming in, but let's save that for another time, and I'm very grateful for that. But I was in a slump, my friends, maybe a couple months ago. I was going through some issues in my marriage, right? Just different things, right? I felt sorry for myself, and then I started getting into this negative spiral. I wasn't exercising as much. One thing led to another. I wasn't putting time into my business, and I was in this slump. But I was not aware of the law of rhythm when I was in this slump. Had I been aware of that law, friends, as I was in that slump, I would have realized, okay, it is what it is. I'm in a natural downswing. Am I going to let this natural downswing get the best of me? Or am I going to use my godlike ability to choose my thoughts, being aware that I'm in a downswing, but choosing good thoughts so I don't spiral out of control? So maybe I don't have the maximum amount of energy I can like I'm in an upswing, right? But at the same time, if I'm choosing good thoughts, that's going to be so much more helpful in that downswing that I'm going to be able to recover so much faster from it. So friends, think about the law of rhythm. Try to become aware of it because it's governing your life whether you're aware of it or not. I can guarantee you that, my friend. Try to become aware of that and also become aware of the thoughts that you're thinking right now. Think about the bottom of your foot, my friend. You weren't thinking about that before, right? Anyway, kind of not to take a side note, but we do have control over our thoughts, right? So become of that. Use the law of rhythm to your advantage, my friends, And I think it's going to make you a much stronger person, because I know that it's already made me a much stronger person as well. So I love you guys. I hope you found value in this. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you liked it, if you commented on it, and if you shared it, because hopefully we can add more value to this world together, because that's what it's really all about, guys. Anyway, my friends, I love you. Brother Brian signing out from beautiful Houston, Texas on this wonderful Wednesday. Peace.